The following podcast contains strong language and frank discussions of violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. Hey, it's Joanne and Mike on Murder Amongst Friends, and we've had one hell of a week.
Yeah, some stuff has gone down.
Oh, some
Some stuff has come out.
some stuff has gone down, come up,
Yeah.
gone sideways, gone left. You name it. It
Yeah.
was going every which way but loose.
It
Michael.
it was pretty loose too. It was
It's very loose, very loose.
Once you know what we're talking about, that's going to be especially disgusting.
It's gonna make sense. It's all gonna make sense.
I did mention at the end of the last episode that we would be aiming for a video episode of the podcast this week. However, that will not be happening for gastrointestinal reasons.
Very important reason. See, what happened is,
you have to
what
understand.
had happened was, what you have to understand about Michael and I is the basis of our friendship is we get food delivered and we just watch, I don't know, over a weekend, I'd say 27 hours of true crime bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay? So sticking to our normal routine, we ordered burgers and fries from an establishment. Let's call it Multiple Men and Potato Chips. And I'm using chips in the British version. Multiple Men
A handful,
and chips.
some would say.
And we got smashed
Yeah.
with food poisoning. And I mean smashed.
It was not good.
And hey, my apartment is tiny and I have one bathroom and our friendship went to new levels. We're closer than ever, guys.
You just, you do
In ways
what you
we
gotta
never
do.
wanted to be close. We are closer than ever. So we apologize. There will be no video podcast this time, but we are still working on it.
And we didn't want to leave you hanging, so we are putting out a full episode anyway.
Because we care about you.
Yes.
Because we care about you guys.
And we will get the video rocking and rolling because I know all of you are eagerly anticipating the real life versions of our Bitmojis.
Are they, though?
No.
Nah, nobody cares. I will give a quick shout out to my buddy, we'll call him the Complete Corona, for messaging one of his friends in Ireland. And apparently he's the one that got us our Irish listeners. So thanks, Bubba. Thank you, Bub.
That's a round of applause that won't spike the microphone.
As I do consistently.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I've got a little story for you before you get going. And if you haven't heard this, it's going to make your head pop off. Worse than your butt was popping off with the food poisoning. Ayo. I have a house coat on and I'm sweaty because I'm already upset thinking about this fucking story and I'm just going to start sweating even more. So let's just jump into it. Come with me, if you will, back to 2005, Michael.
I wasn't even born yet.
Where, well, Michael was just a baby. Where a 16-year-old girl, Crysta Abelseth,
Okay.
or Abelseth, was 16. And you know when you're 16, you make decisions that aren't probably the greatest, but she had a fake ID.
Okay.
I also had a fake ID when I was 17. Here's why. All of my friends were already 18 because the way my birthday fell.
Right.
This is going
My
to
sister was the same way. She had a September.
Oh, it
birthday,
sucked.
yeah.
It sucked. This is going to sound stupid, but I couldn't get into any of the clubs back in the day,
Any
Mike.
of
because
the
you had
under
to be
21 clubs.
the under 21 clubs, yes, but I'm talking about just the regular clubs. You had to be 18.
Yeah.
And there was no chance that anyone was going to ever believe I was 21. Plus, I wasn't really I drank at that point, but like I wasn't like, I just wanted to go out and express myself through the art of dance, Mike.
Yes. A lifelong passion, some would say.
Yes. I just want to make a circle around my purse and shoes and just dance it out. So I had a fake ID that said I was 19. Just so I could get in the club to go dance. And guess who took me to get that ID? Drum roll, please. My mom. Hey, Donna. Shout out. Anyway, Crysta Abelseth in 2015 was 16. She had a fake ID. She went to a bar,
Right.
which very dangerous because obviously.
It's dangerous for everybody, let alone somebody who's still only 16.
Exactly. And she bumps into this giant piece of shit named John Barnes. Sounds like a piece of shit name if I had to just
No
assign.
offense, any other John
Barnes out there, sorry, but your name isn't the greatest. He's 30.
Oh, boy.
He's 30, Mike. So he offers to give Crysta I'm doing air quotes for everybody because we're not doing a video podcast, ride home. Because I think her friends had left her, if I'm not mistaken. Which is also a terrible fucking idea. Never split from your friends. Ever, ever, ever. Listen to me, ladies. Yeah. Never, ever split from your friends. I don't care if you're going to the bathroom. You link arms. You go together. That's it.
This is never, we will never victim blame.
I'm not blaming her.
As much as we can help it. But getting a ride from somebody you don't know is bad for two reasons.
Yeah.
Either they take you home like they say, but now they know where you live. Or they take you wherever the hell they feel like.
Exactly. And that's what happened, Michael.
It's not.
So surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, he did not take her home. He took her to his home. You don't say. This is in Louisiana.
Yes.
Forgot to mention. She wakes up. Well, I should say in Louisiana, the age of consent then and now is 17. She's 16. Keep that in mind. She wakes up drunk on his bathroom floor, naked.
Okay. Well,
she was
some extenuating circumstances that make consent
I'm not
problematic there, but
continue to say like sexual assault because that is sort of polishing a turd here. He raped her on the living room couch, and eventually she ends up naked on the bathroom floor. Okay. I think after that he took her home. She leaves, whatever. She gets home. And she files a complaint. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
This, once again, is not the video version, so I am making my not at all surprised face.
Michael, she gets pregnant.
Oh, great.
She gets pregnant.
And in Louisiana, they're going to force her to keep that.
She keeps the baby.
Yeah.
Okay. She keeps it quiet. Everybody assumes it's just a boyfriend. Yeah. And she lets them believe that.
Okay.
In 2010... when her daughter, which I won't name her because she's underage, is 5, the rapist, because I guess they live in, sort of the same area, finds out that Crysta, that he raped, has a baby.
Does he sue for paternity?
He sues for paternity. Now, stop for 1 second, Michael, because he wants a DNA test to prove that this child is his.
Okay.
Full stop.
Yeah.
When that DNA test comes back and proves that he's the father, which it does.
Naturally.
You have now committed statutory rape, sir.
Yep.
She was 16 when this happened. You were a 30-year-old grown-ass man.
Gross-ass man.
Grown, gross-ass man.
Okay.
You asked for a paternity test.
Yeah.
Now, you should automatically, as soon as that test comes back, be slapped with statutory rape. Instead, he files for custody of the child. He gets awarded a partial custody.
I was going to say, it's real challenging to...
Partial custody.
Yeah.
This rapist, who requested the DNA test himself, has now proven himself to be a rapist, gets partial custody by Judge Jeffrey Cash.
No.
Oh,
white
male
man. Judge? Come on.
Okay. They have partial custody. He also orders Crysta to pay child support to her rapist, Michael. Now, the girl who is recently at this point, now we're in today, right? Yeah. We're at present times. She had a cell phone, like every teenager. The quote father, again, the air quotes, this rapist. Yeah. I'm not even going to call him her father. No. The rapist of this poor girl's mom. The mom gives her cell phone. The dad finds out that she's using it to be on social media, TikTok, etc., like every other person on the planet. Right. Files some motion in court to say he doesn't want the daughter having a cell phone because it's dangerous and all this. The mom's
unfit now is what he's claiming.
He's trying to prove that this mother has never, ever had any issue with this kid. For all accounts, she's a perfect mother, right? Great mom.
And is she still paying this bullshit
Yeah, I think
child
it was
support?
something like $400 and something dollars, like a month.
Fuck it. Like what?
I
An absolute
Mike,
monster.
well, wait, because oh, sorry, I just hit the mic.
Not me, the microphone.
I just hit the microphone. I might hit Mike though. It's fine. It's whatever.
That's the video podcast.
Likes it.
The video podcast for my own safety.
Really turns him on. Yeah. Somehow the teenage girl, the mom says she took the cell phone away. She did not give her another cell phone. Right. Somehow the girl gets a cell phone because teens.
Right.
The dad finds out. Now the mom, because they put in a motion that the daughter is not supposed to have a cell phone. So now the daughter has a cell phone. So now the mom is defaulted on this agreement. And the rapey father, the bio dad, gets full custody of this child, Michael.
Who is now right around the same age the mom was when she was raped.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because now the daughter is claiming to have been physically, emotionally, and sexually abused by the bio dad.
Of course.
She went to a doctor who confirmed that there was, quote, forced entry.
Great.
And at this point in time, she's still in custody with the father. And this piece of shit fucking Judge Jeffrey Cash of Louisiana, should be fucking disbarred, and a hot poker should be shoved up his rectal cavity. The mother, of course, is scrambling. She's beside herself.
Yeah.
She's trying to petition now. Now everybody's got eyes on this now. So hopefully this gets rectified. I mean, now, but this poor girl has now, Crysta's been raped by this man, who then 5 years later comes back, basically steals. So he's going to have connections with this judge or something. Something's going on, because this is fucking outrageous. And now, see, this is why I took the house coat off, because I was already sweaty before, and now I'm so worked up. Like, honestly, I would have fucking murdered him before he ever got custody of my child. Period.
This is one of the worst things I've ever heard.
I told you it was going to be bad. And Crysta, when she filed that initial report, nothing happened. And so at that point, she thought, she was a kid. She didn't understand. She thought, well, nothing happened. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
Well, obviously, years later, like now, she's still having trauma from a rape.
She probably has so much guilt.
And the person, the counselor that she was talking to said, no, like you can file now. Mm-hmm. Like there's no the statute, you can still file. It's still under statute. So she's then filed a report. But and then after this piece of shit gets full custody of the kid, and now he's raping the daughter.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
who the fuck is this judge?
Yeah, he's giving this rapist not only a child, a female child.
What is his fucking problem?
Yeah,
how did he make it to a judgeship? Well,
politics. Like it's
probably all a group of fucking dudes who love to mess with kids, and they all cover each other's backs.
They're all frat bros who were raping women in college.
Fucking chads.
Yeah.
Apologies to any chads out there who don't rape women, but like.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't surprising.
No, it's not surprising, but it's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Men. I'm not even going to say no offense, because every man should be offended by this story. And every man, no matter what position they are in this story, the police, the judge, the fucking piece of shit perpetrator, every single man failed this girl.
100%.
Both girls, both women now. Yeah. But like, men, do fucking better.
Don't even do better. Can you do the least you can fucking do? That would be an improvement.
Yeah, do the
bare minimum, and that would be like a 1,000% upswing.
Yeah, I do not.
It's so outrageous.
I can't.
It's a travesty.
Yeah, I can't.
This judge put this girl on a plate and handed her to a fucking pervert.
Yeah. Wouldn't put it past this guy to have somehow finagled his own way to get her cell phone just so he could get full custody.
Then use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the judge, for some reason, I forget what they called it, but he's claiming something that is prohibiting him from talking about this case.
Why? Because it's ongoing? Fuck that.
It's not. It wasn't even that. He claimed some sort of judge. I forgot the term. Man.
is he claiming
judge something or
basically-
other where
basically
like
executive privilege?
pretty much.
Okay.
Sorry, you lose that when you hand a child to a fucking rapist. I mean,
You have to answer.
you must answer.
Okay.
Hey, happy day, Michael. Sorry about that, buddy.
This could be a 6-day tangent that I would go on.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, this is not the system any of us deserve.
This is not the system that was intended by our forefathers. You know.
We, as just a society, have allowed ourselves to be taken so far off the track by so few.
We're so complacent. Everybody just goes about their own business. And
So,
it's like,
so few have just collected all of the power in whatever context that exists for you. Money, law, influence, whatever. So few people are actually in charge of what goes on. And they've fucked it.
oh, they've whiffed it bad.
And we are the ones that have to clean up the mess.
Yeah.
This can't stand.
No, this has to fucking change. So they have to do something, Mike. If this judge doesn't get disbarred or this thing doesn't get rectified and this lady doesn't get paid back all the fucking money and all, I mean, what? Then what? Then what are we doing?
Now, this story, the story we talked about last week, the Stephen Port grinder killer murders, complete breakdowns of the system. And the Stephen Port case was only solved by friends and family.
Yeah.
Police did jack shit.
Jack shit. Yeah. Yeah. The families solved these crimes and then presented the facts to the police, who then, quote, solved the crimes.
And this is why we don't victim blame.
This is why people don't trust the police.
Right.
I'm sorry to say it, and all you blue line fucking people can get pissed as you want.
Yeah.
This is why people don't trust the police, because they're so complacent. They do the bare minimum. They literally look at facts and disregard them and completely fuck it.
Yeah.
So how are we supposed to have faith in that?
Yeah. Uvalde's a pretty good recent example of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is why we don't victim blame, and we can't victim blame because the victims don't do anything wrong in these stories. But that's why this advice of don't take a ride home from people, because there is no apparatus that will come to save you.
Right.
We need to be responsible for each other.
We need to save ourselves at this point. So
right. So that's why Joanne says if you're going to the bathroom, link arms with your friend and go together.
Never leave your drink.
Yeah.
Never leave. If one of you is leaving, you never leave with anybody. You have to let everybody know where you are at all times. Track your friends. I mean,
this was the Marcella and Christy episode that we did. You know, so we only have each other because there's
no one looking out for us, guys. We have to look out for each other. So with that, Mike, hey buddy, hey buddy.
Well, I unintentionally have another story of some failings.
Oh no!
Here,
get ready.
I kept this one local.
Okay.
We're in New England for this one.
Okay.
Well, let's jump right to it. This is the story of Rita Bouchard.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this story?
I mean, the name sounds familiar, but it could just sound familiar because we're local. So
on Saturday, February 1st, 1947. So not in our lifetimes, at least. A man named Joseph Curry was walking by the 10-mile river near his home in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
The bucket.
Yeah.
Pawtucket the bucket.
It's a great place. Let's all just say
fuck
that.
it.
Saw many a baseball game in Pawtucket, though.
Yeah.
He saw a shape up ahead that he thought might be a strangely shaped little gray boulder. At least he didn't think it was a mannequin like every other person seems to think.
Thank God for small favors.
When he got closer, what he saw was the blood-soaked body of 17-year-old Rita Bouchard.
Oh.
Her throat had been cut from ear to ear, and she was stabbed around 30 times across her back, breasts, and neck.
30 times?
30 times.
So it's somebody that knows her, if I had to guess.
It's not a bad guess. There were no signs of a struggle in the spot where Rita was found. Her clothes weren't disheveled, but her glasses and purse, which contained $40, were missing. Now, I normally don't, but I did the math this time.
Yeah.
$40 in 1947 is $524 today.
Oof, okay. So could potentially robbery as a motive, but the 30 stab wounds make it seem a little more personal.
But strangely, a gold watch that she had on her wrist was left behind. So robbery, but also not.
But is it? Yeah.
Yeah. But it is also easier to steal and launder cash than it is to get rid of a gold watch. So maybe they left that behind.
If you start trying to sell that, somebody might be like, hey.
Right. So robbery still is possible since there were items missing, even though a valuable item wasn't. She was found lying on her gray coat in a clearing behind the Notre Dame cemetery.
All these bodies getting left near the cemetery. Yeah. I'm not going to make the same joke as last time, but...
Right. Well, this wasn't in the cemetery. This was on kind of a
nearby.
Yeah. The medical examiner counted 13 different wounds to Rita's back, including 2 deep gashes between her shoulders.
Hey.
However, the back of her coat only had 3 puncture holes.
Okay.
He very quickly and obviously described it as, quote, a fiendish murder. And that's actually the headline that the Providence Journal went with when they wrote about it.
Yeah. Remember when Projo was a thing?
I do.
Oh my God.
I remember commercials for Projo.
I remember just like kids just like, here's your paper, and you're like, thanks, Timmy. And, here's $1.
Extra.
Yeah, extra, read all about it, Just newsies running around.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not that old, but like, but
Sometimes I am.
Sometimes I am that old.
Yeah.
Like this past week where I can barely drag myself into the ladies.
Yeah. Interestingly, a tree near where Rita was found had several very fresh hatchet marks kind of hacked into the trunk.
Okay.
Maybe they were a landmark to remind the killer where he dumped the body. We don't really know what they were there for, but they were so fresh that they seemed related to the body being there.
That's weird. I don't like that.
It's very strange.
I don't like it.
At the time of the murder, the chief of Pawtucket Police was on vacation in Florida. So Chief Inspector Wilford Wadsworth led the investigation. He was kind of next in line to take over anyway. He
sounds like an English butler.
Wilfred Wadsworth.
Wadsworth, bring me my tea.
Right away, sir. He pulled...
Yes, madam.
He pulled...
With that little bow.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, I need that in my life.
In his...
I need a Wadsworth to just do my bidding.
In his
tuxedo. And if it could be
tails.
like Tim Curry in a full tux.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be great.
He pulled almost every detective in the division to investigate Rita's life and death, and this is what they put together.
I'm already just... I'm going to let it out now. I'm just going to sigh and let it out.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling...
Yeah.
By the way that your face looks.
On Friday, January 31st, the day before, Rita left her job at the Rhode Island Fabrics Company. She normally worked from 3 to 11 p.m., but left early that afternoon, around 5 p.m., after complaining that she wasn't feeling well.
Okay.
She told coworkers that she was going to go see the doctor and then visit her mother, who was a patient at the State Tuberculosis Sanatorium at Wallam Lake, where her father died 8 years earlier of the same thing.
Oh, sad.
Detectives discovered that Rita never saw the doctor or her mother after she left work that day.
Okay.
So her last known location was leaving work around 5.
Does she drive? Did she walk? Does she take the bus? Do we know?
We have some information, yes.
Okay.
She also never returned home.
Okay.
She was living with her aunt and uncle, as well as her brothers and sister, all of whom were wards of the state because her parents were sickly.
Right.
In a home on Mineral Spring Avenue.
Ayo, Mineral Spring.
Yeah, I apologize ahead of time.
Mineral Spring goes all the way from Pawtucket through North Providence and maybe even into Providence.
I included a lot more street names than I normally would, just for the sake
just for the hell of it, so we could be like,
I know that one.
Yeah.
When she didn't come home, her family wasn't alarmed right away. They assumed she was spending the night with a female friend, which she had done before. They only learned about Rita's death when they heard a description of the victim being read over the radio the following afternoon. They contacted police right away.
Oh, God.
The police had a 17-hour gap in Rita's life that they had to fill.
Mm-hmm.
They tried. At least you can say in this case they tried.
Okay. All right.
They found a bus driver who recalled dropping off a girl who matched Rita's description at a cafeteria near the Main Street Bridge at around 5:40 p.m. on Friday.
Okay.
Another bus driver who knew Rita enough to recognize her told police that he saw her get into a car in downtown Pawtucket around 6 p.m.
All right. So she took a bus from work heading toward downtown.
Yep.
And then I wonder where the doctor's office is that she's supposed to go to. Because why is she... I mean, if she's downtown, like in Kennedy Plaza, waiting for a bus, shout out to Kennedy.
Local references get
local references
work.
abound. Then she would have just popped on another bus. She would have given the transfer and pop over to the doctor's office. But
Yep.
How would somebody know to pick her up unless she called somebody and said, can you pick me up? I'm taking the bus downtown, leaving work, don't feel good, taking the bus downtown. Any chance you can pick me up? Would she have just gotten in a car with a stranger?
Well, there is...
Have you ever hitchhiked in your life, Michael?
No.
I hitchhiked, okay, one time in my life in another country.
Oh, good. It's a miracle you're here.
Hey, so from the person who tells you
Right.
to be fair, I was 16.
There you go.
I was a kid,
Yep.
and we all know we're invincible, quote, we think we're invincible as kids. Hey, I was in Italy with my cousin Francesca and her cousin Sylvia, and apparently, at least back then, out there, hitchhiking was just like a common thing. It's kind of like California in the 70s, baby, but like without all the serial killers. And we hitchhiked. We had gone horseback riding.
And
at
the horses
this place,
just were like, you're on your own from here?
at this place called I think it was called Filete. But anyway, we went horseback riding, and then to come back, I think we had missed the bus because there was only like one bus that went there, one bus came back, whatever. We missed the bus, so we were like, ah, crap, we got to get back into town. So Sylvia's like, we'll just hitchhike, and we're kind of like, huh?
No.
And she's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. So we hitchhike. These people pick us up, and they say, do you mind if I stop and I have to run in here and just make a phone call? So we stop at this local bar, whatever. We all kind of go in. Unbeknownst to us, Mike, the person who picked us up is friends with Francesca's dad, my Uncle Vincenzo.
Whoops.
They then make that phone call to my uncle to tell him that he just picked up your two nieces, and your daughter hitchhiking, and I'm about to drop them off to your house, but I just wanted to give you the heads up.
Wow.
Well, let me tell you, we then get back home to Francesca's Nani's house, where there's a big family dinner, of course, every night.
Wow.
And we're all sitting around the table, and we don't know that Uncle Vinny...
that he knows.
That he knows. We don't know that he knows that we don't know that he knows that they know that we were hitchhiking. And let's just say it came out at dinner.
Ah.
And was not good. But the thing with my Uncle Vinny is he has a very explosive temper, but then 2 minutes later, he just starts laughing about it. So we got in trouble for like 5 minutes. We were really scared. And then he just started laughing and just told us how stupid we were. So, But that's what happens when the folly of youth, man.
Yeah.
Don't make stupid decisions, guys, like I did.
At least you're here to tell the tale.
Do not hitchhike. Very
Because if
dangerous.
it wasn't...
Very, very dangerous.
If it wasn't your uncle's friend...
Yeah, who the fuck knows
happen.
what might have happened. Right. So,
and that was a complete coincidence because none of the three of you knew that this person knew your uncle, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
I mean, we were in a different country altogether. I mean, Sylvia,
that's
maybe
random.
perhaps she would have recognized them, but she even didn't. So
it's
a hell of a story.
That's random and lucky.
Yeah.
Investigators questioned friends, men who had dated Rita, co-workers, and residents near the factory and the crime scene. They even questioned Rita's uncle, one of her sisters, and her two closest friends from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Those friends were Teresa and Raymond Patnaud.
I know a couple of Patnauds.
Desperate for new leads, but despite their best efforts, the trail went cold.
Yeah, as it often does.
2 weeks into the investigation, so it wasn't cold for very long.
Not too long.
2 weeks into the investigation, police followed up on a tip from Rita's aunt that the girl had confided in her that she feared a man that she had been dating.
Oh.
And many times expressed the idea that she would die a violent death.
Oh my God.
Now, whether...
She's a teen.
Yeah, but sometimes I've heard true crime stories of eventual victims just telling their parents when they're like 15, I'm going to die really bad.
Yeah.
And then when they're 20, 25, 30 off at college or out in
Yeah.
the world, they do actually die a violent death. So I don't know if she was referring to this person will kill me,
Yeah.
or if these were two separate thoughts that
I feel
the
like
aunt was
as
expressing.
I mean, if I had to just guess, I would feel like as a teenager, if you said something like that, it would be the situation you're in. Because when you're a teenager, your focus is like 2 feet in front of your face. You're not looking into the future at all. Your current, whatever's happening in your current situation is the biggest thing in your life as a teen, you know?
Yeah.
I have a pimple. Oh, my life is over. You know what I mean? It's just,
Johnny didn't ask me to the dance.
I'm gonna die. Like, yeah.
I can't go to the sock hop alone.
Yeah.
However, investigators could find no link to any of her known boyfriends that would have fit kind of that description.
Was she dating an older man from work, though, that nobody knew about or something like that?
Their only theory was that another woman might have stabbed Rita in a frenzy of jealousy over someone they were both dating.
Could be. Could be.
Not a great theory given the evidence of it being a secondary, theoretically a dump site. Mm-hmm. So she would have had to get moved. And there'll be more, I'll get you more details about
Okay, but
that
let's
area.
not, let's not act like women can't commit heinous crimes.
Absolutely. And especially one with overkill involved. It's highly emotional.
Rage will give you the energy to drag a dead body. No, not trying to be funny, but I mean, that adrenaline boost gives you that strength, you know?
Growing desperate, police put out a public plea for information, only to receive leads that went nowhere and even outright crank phone calls. Don't do that.
Don't fucking do that shit.
The
you
cops
idiots.
are shit enough. You don't need to confuse them.
Yeah,
too.
really. They're very easily confused. Let's stop with that.
18 days after Rita's death, an 8-year-old boy was walking with some friends by Slater Park
Oh no! What are these kids like?
near the entrance to the 10 Mile River Reservation.
No.
He was kicking along the grass, as you do, as they walked, and suddenly his foot hit a solid object.
No.
It was a knife with an 8.5-inch blade,
Oh god, I thought you were gonna say he accidentally tripped over like.
stained red on both sides.
Okay.
8.5-inch blade, though. That's a pretty serious knife.
That's like a hunting. That would be. So I'm using my
thin.
hands, guys,
It's
at
thin.
home. I'm trying to measure what 8 inches is.
If that's 8 inches, oh boy.
That's gotta be. That has to be. This has to be 8 inches because I would say this is a foot, right?
Okay.
So we're talking like this. Oh God, serrate. It's probably one of those like hunting.
It's thin. I've seen a picture of it.
Okay.
It's thin. It kind of looks like a deboning knife for fish. So it's not super hooked and curved like that, but it's thinner. It's got a little bit of a.
It's got like a straight blade or you know how I feel about
Yes, we do.
getting oogly.
This was less than half a mile from where Rita was found.
Okay.
The medical examiner reviewed the weapon and determined that the knife matched the 3 holes made in the back of Rita's coat. Now,
What about the other 27
yeah,
stabs?
the police continued with
Oh my God, were there more than one perpetrator?
The police continued the investigation with renewed vigor, but even with potentially the murder weapon, they still were making very little progress.
Okay.
This is why
I'm still tensed up I'm thinking about 30 stabs with that knife. Like so sitting here so clenched up.
This is why they now say the weapon was consistent and could have been the one. Because by just saying, yeah, this is the knife, it kind of takes you down a path that it may have just been a knife.
Yeah.
Who knows? So they were making very little progress. That is until 2 months after the murder. A 17-year-old and one of Rita's friends told police a story. You'll remember the name, Raymond Patnod.
Yeah.
Had been interviewed by police previously when investigators were trying to learn what they could about the victim. Raymond is difficult to describe.
I mean, it would make sense if she called her friend Ray and said, I'm taking the bus downtown. I don't feel well. Can you pick me up? You know, and then
it's not a bad theory until you hear the story that he tells.
Oh, let me guess. This fairy tale that he's going to spin, this yarn, or is it? Well, let's see.
Let's read on.
Let's see.
Raymond is difficult to describe. His childhood was called uneventful. except for a bout of rheumatic fever when he was 14. He was described as pleasant and agreeable, but also nervous, impulsive, and restless.
That's a dichotomy of...
Yeah.
He's very pleasant and agreeable and calm, but also very agitated and anxious and worked up. But also real, just sweet, low-key demeanor.
Yeah. You can count on him, but he's such a flake. Like
Like,
what?
what?
Now, this part, I don't know how you're going to react.
You know how I'm going to react if that's what you're saying.
Raymond would become irritable, impatient, and complain of headaches around the full moon.
Shut the fuck up. If this kid is going to... I swear to God, if right now you're going to fucking tell me that this kid thinks he's a fucking werewolf and then stabbed her to death with his, quote, claws that were just a bunch of fucking knives, I quit the show.
I can 100% confirm that it will not be said by me.
Okay. 100% you're standing firm.
I am 100% standing
All
firm.
right.
His favorite hobby was riding around in taxis, but his father thought it was strange and a very expensive hobby.
It is fucking strange.
It's very
What
strange.
are you doing?
You know, just taxi
What
cabbing
are
around
you
Pawtucket.
doing? Yeah, let's taxi around the bucket. Well, I'll tell you what, though. Pawtucket is a fuck show of one-way streets.
That's true.
So,
That is true.
so I mean, maybe he was maybe he had to take taxis because all the one-way streets were so fucking confusing, which they are.
They are.
It takes you 15 minutes to get to the street that's parallel to the one that you're on because you have to one-way yourself all the frick around the city.
Yeah. You're basically, it's like driving in New York City without having anywhere to actually go.
It's like driving in Boston.
Well, yeah.
New York is a little more like of a grid.
Yeah.
Boston is also a goddamn shit show.
Boston just decided to pave walking paths and say these are roads now.
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah. Some of them are still brick. Yeah. It's my hometown. What can you do?
Hey, what are you going to do?
Additionally, though his father denied it, when Raymond was 16 years old, he was sentenced to 9 months at the Sockanosset School for Boys on charges of stealing cars and committing, quote, immoral acts with boys and girls on multiple occasions.
Okay, when he was 16, you said?
Yeah.
Immoral acts? Like he's molesting small children?
Yes.
Well, what? His father denied it.
Yes.
It's on record.
Yes.
What are you denying, sir?
Yes.
Your son's a creep?
Yeah.
Okay, then just accept it. Your son's a creep. I mean, it's on record.
Yeah. But, you know, he was kind of a laid-back kid who was agreeable. And
He's really agreeable when
Yeah.
he's molesting your kids. Like, as long as you give him your children, he's fine. Other than that, he turns into a fucking werewolf. Like, I mean, come on. What is this?
When he was released in September 1946, it was noted by doctors in his chart that he'd become particularly restless. Why'd you let him go? Whatever. Once he got out, Raymond spent most of his time at home in Pawtucket, just a few blocks from Slater Park. Mm-hmm. He worked at the same fabrics company as Rita, but he was employed as a dishwasher and was actually on a leave of absence from the company, which started in the middle of January 1947, only about 2 weeks before the murder. So he wasn't working.
So he had a lot
there.
of free time to go pick someone up downtown in Kennedy Plaza.
Yeah. In early spring, and with the investigation in full swing, Raymond is taken into custody and charged with, quote, carnal knowledge of an 8-year-old boy.
No.
Immoral acts and carnal knowledge.
Well, Mike,
They're
you know,
really-
it's really putting perfume on the pig,
Yeah,
Mike.
really
Let's
polishing the turd, like you said earlier.
polish that turd up. Get the fuck out of here. Carnal knowledge. First of all, no one should have carnal. The only person you should have carnal knowledge of is maybe like your spouse
Of
or another
someone who
adult
consents.
who can
Yeah.
consent to that shit. There's no such thing as carnal knowledge of that's rape of a fucking child. Let's call it for what it is, and everyone stop sugarcoating this bullshit because that's why nothing gets fucking done about it because we shine it up
Right.
like it's a trophy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, look how shiny and pretty that is. We can just walk right by that without doing anything about it.
Oh, immoral acts, that's just a mistake.
Yeah, okay.
We forgive you. You
Yeah,
served your
alright.
time. Oh, it was actually for rape of a child? Oh.
Oh, well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just...
Let's cut the fucking
Yeah.
shit, guys.
When police realized that Raymond had a connection to Rita, they started questioning him intensely. At first, he insisted that he had been in downtown Pawtucket between 7 and 10 p.m. on the Friday before the murder. Mm-hmm. But after 72 hours of relentless interrogation led by Inspector Wadsworth, Raymond finally changed his tune, saying, quote, "All right, I'll tell you the story."
Okay.
Raymond told Wadsworth that the Friday before the murder, he returned to the Rhode Island Fabrics Company to ask the foreman if he could return from his leave of absence the following Monday.
Couldn't call to do that?
In 1947, he had spent all his money on taxi cabs. He had no money.
You don't
left
have a
for
phone
payphone.
in your house?
I don't know.
Bullshit.
He then left at about 3:15 p.m., shortly after Rita's shift would have started. He then went downtown to the Capitol Theater, arriving at about 4 p.m.
Yeah.
He claims that around 7 p.m., Rita coincidentally arrived at the theater and sat next to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
Sell
says,
me a bridge. Why don't you?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
He says they talked for about 5 minutes and then left the theater, walked to Collier Park, and sat on a bench. Only a few minutes later, a car pulled up, and the driver called to Rita by name. You'll remember a bus driver remarked on her getting into a car.
Yep.
However, that was, he claimed, around 6 p.m. Raymond is saying they didn't leave the theater until 7 p.m. You know.
A bus driver runs on schedules.
Yeah.
Or schedules for our UK listeners. So I would, in my opinion, just right now where I stand, I'm going with the bus driver because their entire job is
being on time.
Times.
Yeah.
You know, not that Ripta is ever on time. But they do their best.
But in the grand
Shout out
scheme,
to Ripta employees. You guys put up with a lot of shit.
Sure do. But in the grand scheme of things, bus drivers tend to know where and when they are if asked to recount and they were working.
Right.
You know, at this point, at this time of day, this is where on the route I would be expected to be.
Right. So, at the very least, if he saw her, then he's got a roundabout time of what time he was there.
Right. Rita went to speak to the man driving, and a few minutes later called to Raymond to come over and eventually talked him into getting into the car.
Raymond got into the car?
He got in the back seat.
And Rita?
While Rita rode in the front.
She was like, come on, come with us.
They drove. Yep.
Okay.
They drove together to Slater Park, but Raymond changed his mind.
Slater.
And asked to be taken back downtown.
Well, then why did you get in, Raymond? This sounds... Well, he does like to be driven around.
That's true.
So he might have been like, yo, let's go by Slater. Actually, can you bring me back downtown?
And he's very go with the flow until he's...
He's very agreeable until he's raping children, let's not forget.
Until the moon comes out. They drove him back and dropped him at the Capitol Theater. As he got out, the driver asked Rita, quote... I don't know how much of a quote this is. This is what Raymond
This is what
says
Raymond,
he said,
the fucking werewolf, was telling everybody.
Yeah. Quote, "Do you want to go home or go back to the park?" And Raymond says he thought he heard Rita say she wanted to go back to the park.
This is at like 8 o'clock at night at this point.
Right.
Okay. What are they going back to the park for at 8 o'clock at night?
In Pawtucket. In February.
Right.
January, February. It's dark and freezing cold. Very dark. It's been dark since like 2 p.m.
Yeah, right.
After the car drove away, Raymond says he got a cup of coffee, but then started to worry about Rita's safety.
Oh, he stopped for a world's best cup of coffee and then started pontificating on his friend's safety.
They loosely, I guess, dated.
This is bullshit.
Earlier, yeah.
This whole fucking story is bullshit.
So he was worried about an ex-girlfriend.
If he was, then he wouldn't have let her go to a park in the middle of the winter at night with some guy that he has no idea who it is.
Shortly after 8 p.m., he got on a trolley and went back to Slater Park. There, he says he found Rita alone and crying on a bench. He asked her, quote, "What's the matter?" And instead of answering...
How did he get back to Slater Park?
The trolley.
He took...
A trackless trolley. So a bus.
Okay.
Basically.
Right, okay.
But he found Rita alone and crying on a bench. He asked her what's the matter.
He just happened to find her.
Yeah.
Just...
It's weird.
Wow, it's so crazy.
Again,
his honing
pitch
skills
black.
are incredible.
Yeah, he's like, you can smell.
It's almost like he has a weird animalistic sense, if you will.
Yeah. Instead of answering the question, the what's the matter question, Rita slapped his face, then got up and walked away.
No. Incorrect.
Raymond followed her to a nearby bus stop.
Why would you follow her? She just fucking tagged you in the mouth. She cracked you in the face.
Well, he's worried about her, you know.
I don't buy it.
Followed her to a nearby bus stop and asked her again what's the matter. And this time, she slapped his face and kicked him twice in the groin.
No. Oh, I'm not
Buying it?
pleased with this story. His story. Raymond's story.
And then he said his, quote,
I don't trust anybody. Well, I was going to say, I don't trust anybody named Raymond. My dad's name is Raymond. I don't trust him at all, but I do have a good friend named Ray, so I can't say that. They cancel each other out.
There you go. My dad's dad name was Raymond. He, by all accounts, was unpleasant. So he then claims that his mind went blank after the after the groin kicks.
He got kicked in the nuts,
Yeah.
and his mind went blank.
It's weird
Mike,
how
come here
everything.
for a sec.
No,
Michael, what's the capital of Thailand? Come here for a sec. Quick. Get over here.
it's weird how he remembers everything very crystal clear up to that moment, and then it's off.
Well, once you get a ball shot,
Yeah.
I mean...
The next thing Raymond knew, he was lying on the ground in the woods next to a dead body.
No. This son of a bitch. This is a fucking fairy tale. I said it. He's spinning a yarn.
He asked twice, quote, "Is that you, Rita?"
Lovely Rita, Beta maid, is that you, my dear?
But obviously received no reply.
Yeah, because she's been fucking stabbed 30 times by you. You fuckwit.
He saw a knife on the ground, stood up, and followed the path out of the park. He says he took the trolley and a bus back home and got there just before 10 p.m.
No, you didn't. No, you did not.
He definitely
I
did
could not
not.
be a police officer because I would probably punch this guy in his face and then I'd probably get promoted. Anyway, let's move on.
Police wondered why Raymond didn't tell them any of this when he was first asked for information.
Yeah, you'd think.
But he insisted that he didn't lie.
Withholding the truth is lying, you fuckbag.
Well, stand by for the explanation. It wasn't until a week later that he had a dream. And all of the details came rushing back.
Ooh.
He woke up and realized that what had happened, quote, was real.
No.
After hearing the full story, Wadsworth took Raymond back to Collier Park,
Every time you say Wadsworth, I just think of a butler. Anyway.
asked which bench he sat on with Rita that night. Raymond pointed to one.
Yeah.
Wadsworth then asked which direction the car came from. Raymond pointed towards North Providence. Wadsworth now wanted Raymond to bring him along and retrace the rest of what happened that night. He directed the drive of the police car through a few streets before arriving on Armistice Boulevard to the entrance of Slater Park.
Right.
I could have written out all of those roads just so you would know where they were, but decided not to bore everybody.
Yeah.
Wadsworth again asked which bench he and Rita sat on. Again, Raymond pointed one out. Wadsworth asked, quote, "Now after you got kicked by Rita, how did you enter the woods?" Raymond responded, "I don't know. I only remember waking up beside Rita, and I can't stand dead bodies, so I walked away."
Whoa. Stop.
I've stopped.
Stop.
Yes.
I don't like... Oh, did he say I don't like waking up next to dead body? I don't like being... What did he say?
can't... This is the whole quote again.
Yeah.
"How did you enter the woods?" asked
Right.
Wadsworth. Raymond responds, "I don't know. I only remember waking up beside Rita, and I can't stand dead bodies."
How many dead bodies have you been around? Because you're presumably a young gent. What is he? He's the same age
He's
as...
17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you had a job at the morgue,
Yeah.
which I don't think you can unless you're 18 probably, if I had to guess.
1947, who knows?
Well, you could have been 12.
Yeah.
How many dead bodies have you fucking been around, sir? Young sir.
His
How many young boys have you fucking molested and killed that we don't know about? And you just don't like being near the dead bodies and they're hidden somewhere now.
and girls.
Piece of
his
actual
solution,
crap.
his solution to waking up next to a dead body that he couldn't quote unquote stand was to walk away. So I walked away.
So you didn't tell the police that your friend has been murdered?
Well, then he forgot, and it wasn't until the dream that he remembered everything. So he couldn't tell the police.
Clearly was in shock, Michael.
Yeah.
He's in a fugue state, don't you know?
So Raymond and Wadsworth got out of the car and went into the park and to the clearing where Rita was found. Mm-hmm. When asked to point out exactly where Rita's body was when he woke up, Raymond blanked. Quote, "I don't remember. There were a lot of trees around."
Okay.
Raymond was asked point blank if he killed Rita and answered, quote, "I don't remember. Maybe I did it."
What?
Thank you so much for wasting our time, Raymond. Many answers Raymond gave could have been true, but most were, quote, packed with inconsistencies.
Okay.
His description of the knife didn't match the one they found. He didn't know what he did with Rita's missing glasses and purse. They still hadn't been found.
Okay.
Raymond was
have
asked...
they searched his house at this point? No, right? Probably not, because they're just now having conversations with him, so...
Raymond was asked about the position of Rita's body. He said her head pointed toward the river. In reality, she was parallel to it. The area was also very muddy, and the mud would have been 2 inches deep on the night of the murder. But Raymond said, quote, "Oh, I only had a couple leaves on the front of my coat."
You would have been filthy if it was...
Right. Whether he did pass out and was laying in the mud...
You would have been filthy, though.
Or just carrying her and dropping her in the mud would have been all over her shoes. Yeah. Blood would have been all over him.
Of course.
And he got on a trolley and went home. And no one... And this was according to his story. And no one noticed.
So is this kid just full of shit and making up stories? Does he know who did it, the other guy?
Rita herself... We don't know. Rita herself also didn't have any mud on her shoes. That fact, coupled with the generally undisturbed nature of the crime scene, certainly would seem to indicate that her body was dumped there after the crime.
Somebody carried her and placed her down.
Raymond was 17 years old, but weighed only 90 pounds. Police were certain he wouldn't have been able to carry her even a few hundred yards from the road if he had brought her there by car to the spot where she was found.
Okay.
The last piece that fully discredited Raymond's story was his timeline. The medical examiner placed Rita's time of death no earlier than 6 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Oof, okay.
That's a full 8 hours after Raymond said he arrived back home that Friday night.
I told you this kid was bullshit. This fucking bullshit story.
Also, when Rita was discovered, the knife was not near her body, but Raymond never indicated that he picked it up or moved it after he saw it, once he snapped back to reality after his blackout.
So either this kid was with the person who did it and really did blank it out, or he's just attention-seeking weirdo and,
I have another theory, but deciding that Raymond was not the killer and that he was mentally unwell for having gone through an entire false confession, Raymond Patnod was committed that same day to be observed at the Charles V. Chapin Psychiatric Hospital in Providence.
Yeah.
According to the doctor's notes, Raymond was first observed to be neat, cooperative, and somewhat effeminate in manner. His speech was normal, and responses were not unusual. He was calm and not disturbed by being held in a mental ward.
Okay.
During the final 2 weeks of his stay,
Which
however,
I guess would indicate that he actually needs to be there, because if you were totally sane and somebody locked you in a mental ward, you'd probably act out. I would think. Because you're now imprisoned.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
During the last 2 weeks of his stay, however, he became rather irritable, showing feelings of hostility towards some of the medical staff. By the third week, Raymond became somewhat superior in his attitude towards the other patients and expressed the idea that he was being held as a prisoner. So it took him 3 weeks to get where it took you 3 seconds.
3 seconds. Yeah, it would have been like, let me the fuck out of this place.
He blamed a flare-up of his rheumatic fever for the changes. I don't know if that's a thing.
I mean, I'm not a med profesh, as we've previously discussed.
Not an MD.
No.
Just a BS.
Not even I'm a BS, all right.
I'm
not even an RN.
I'm a BFA. I don't even have a BS. So
I'm a BA.
Finally, after being studied at length by various members of the hospital staff, the attending staff concluded that Raymond was suffering from mental deficiencies. That he
paranoid delusions.
That he was a clinical, quote, moron.
Well,
and defective
is that a
delinquent.
It's not a proper clinical medical term in today's day and age, Michael. I'm gonna
was
guess
then.
no, but then
There is an actual medical definition for moron.
Okay.
It's been co-opted into being a more colloquial phrase, but there is a clinical definition, and apparently Raymond fit it. They also described him as a defective delinquent. With a psychopathic...
A defective delinquent, is that another way to perfume the fact that he's a child rapist?
Yeah.
Okay.
With a psychopathic personality.
How flowery and poetic.
Yeah.
What a lovely turn of phrase. Jesus
It's got the
Christ.
alliteration.
It's all there for you, Mike. What more could you ask for?
But they could neither prove nor disprove what he told police was true.
No, it's false. Like, what? It's false. His version, anyway, is false.
He was discharged from the hospital, but remained in the custody of juvenile court because, let's not forget, and I knew you wouldn't, but, just to remind everybody, his whole confession started because he was arrested for carnal knowledge with an 8-year-old.
Right.
So, yeah, he is psychopathic, defectively delinquent, etc.
Yeah. Child rapist.
He was later sentenced on the charge and sent to the Exeter School for the Feeble-Minded.
Okay.
Just the way they name stuff back then. He was eventually
It
discharged.
was a different time, Mike.
He was discharged in 1951, and not much is known about his life after that.
Might have been a good idea to track that son of a bitch, no?
He apparently did marry another inmate from the Exeter School.
That's going to be a marriage made in heaven right there.
Only described as younger than him after he got out. I don't know any other details about that, but...
I mean, that tracks, though.
Yeah. In fact, most of the places involved in this story aren't around anymore.
Right.
The hospital Raymond was sent to after his confession closed in the 70s and is now part of Providence College. The mill where Rita and Raymond work has been vacant for decades. The Capitol Theater, where Raymond claims Rita sat next to him on that fateful night, was demolished in the 50s. The spot where the dagger was found is just a random spot in the middle of a neighborhood, and the location where Rita was found is now part of the Greenway bike path. The only thing left behind are the hatchet marks that can still be seen hacked into the base of that tree.
Oh, that's eerie.
There are so many unanswered questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that I have that I will pose to you now.
Okay.
Where did she spend the night of January 31st, 1947, if she didn't die until 6 a.m. the next morning?
With the guy in the car, whoever that was.
Had she been killed where she was found,
No.
or had her body been carried to that place?
Carried.
Why were there only 3 puncture holes in the back of her coat, though she'd been stabbed 13 times in the back, plus the 2 gashes?
Because she was stabbed a few times with the coat on, and then they removed it for whatever reason and kept stabbing her. Or stabbed her, and then she put her coat on, or they put the coat on when they were trying to move her, and then just for shits and gigs decided to stab her a couple more times.
That is my theory, in that those 3 came last. They had moved her. She wasn't dead.
Maybe she wasn't fully dead, and they pop 3 times and did her in.
So that's why, if that knife that was found was the knife, that's
Matched
why
those 3
it wasn't at
and
the
not the-
original crime scene and dumped in this place. And match those 3.
Right.
What about the deep gashes between her shoulders? What about the hatchet marks in the tree? Were they significant?
I mean, that hatchet mark could be erroneous.
Yeah, could be. Was another weapon used?
Yeah.
Who was the man Rita told her aunt she feared? Was Raymond's
But the guy
story...
in the fucking car.
Yeah. Was
Clearly,
Raymond's
I bet you
story
the guy in
only
the car was either somebody that she worked with who was an older man, or someone from the neighborhood. I'm guessing it's somebody that she worked with. And was afraid because, he was older, probably very controlling, manipulative, whatever, maybe abusive
Maybe her
from
boss,
time to
so
time.
she was afraid she'd get fired.
Could be.
Yeah.
Somebody maybe just in a position of power over her at work or whatever.
Police officer,
Yeah.
local politician.
It's never happened before,
Yep.
Michael.
Was Raymond's story only a dream? If it wasn't, who was the mystery man in the car that gave Rita and Raymond a ride?
Somebody that they worked with, and he's also afraid of him. Or, like you said, a cop from the neighborhood, and he's also deathly afraid of him.
Yep.
Maybe he did block it out. He's got psychological problems.
Yeah.
Maybe he was so scared he blocked it out.
Yep.
And then it did come back, and he thought it was a dream. It was really a memory.
Yeah. But it wasn't him. He witnessed it happening, but the dream only put him in there. He didn't allow him to see
the
the
course.
person.
We've all had those dreams where you walk into the front door of like the house you live in, but then once you get inside, it's your grandmother's house from like when you were a kid, and then you turn to go into the backyard and it's like your best friend's backyard. Like things like that happen all the time.
Mm-hmm. In 1956, 9 years after the murder, Projo, Providence Journal, published a follow-up story on the unsolved crime with what would prove to be the final word in the case, concluding that, quote, the murderer of Rita Bouchard, if he lives, is still a free man. And that is still true today. That was the story of Rita Bouchard.
Son of a bitch. I don't like that. Nobody did. Okay. The cops seem to
be on it.
But were they? Because did they go and interview everyone that she worked with? Did they try to find out, hey, bus driver, you saw her get into a car. What the fuck kind of car was it? Right. What was the make and model? What's the color? Did you catch any of the license plate at all? Was
Similar
it maybe a vanity
for Raymond.
plate? Exactly. Same question for Raymond.
What kind of car? Yeah.
What color car? What kind of car? We narrow it down. Okay. Let's go then to her circle of people that she knows. Is there anybody she works with this car? Is there anyone in her family that has this car?
Yep.
Do her friends' parents have this car?
Yeah.
Let's start tight and then branch out.
Yeah. Her aunt and uncle may not have known about this guy. Did any of her sisters know? Did her brother know?
Did her friends know?
know?
Do they know about this? The car is the key.
Yep.
The car is the key. So did they do their job? Was it a cop that they know?
Yeah.
So that they
or
didn't,
someone similarly empowered.
They took
DA, a lawyer, somebody.
They took Raymond's story and went, fantastic.
Yeah, great.
Pin it on this kid. You know what I mean?
And then we can say, we did all of our due diligence, and this took us down a path,
this is the path
too
it
much
ended
time
up,
has passed.
and all other paths,
Yeah.
have dried up. All other leads have dried up. Obviously, we got to figure out what the fuck this car was. I'm assuming the bus driver at this point is passed.
I would imagine
Raymond, I mean, like we said, we don't know, right? So he's probably
right.
I mean, if he was 16 and well,
he was 17 in 1947, so he'd be 122.
Yeah, so he's dead.
No, he wouldn't be 122. That is terrible math.
Well, don't look at me to do math.
Boy.
You're the math person.
He would be 92.
Okay, so probably dead. Anyway, don't look at me. Me and math don't get along.
I'm gonna have to cut that.
Hey, cut that, because Michael just embarrassed himself, and usually it's me. So actually, leave that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't anybody follow up with this fucking car business?
I don't know. And cars were a little more distinctive back in the day than they are now.
Every car now
is that a Toyota
exactly
Corolla or is that a Hyundai?
They all look the same.
You can't tell. Right.
Back then, no.
Yeah.
No. Everything looked different. Everything was very distinct.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if I had to jump off a limb and just fathom a guess, it's probably somebody she worked with. Now, whether it was her boss or just a supervisor or maybe just a colleague.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely an older man that she worked with. Her and Raymond were friends. They worked together, and maybe he did go and see this and then said, I want to get dropped back off. And the guy fucking dropped him off and said, keep your fucking mouth shut. Mm-hmm. And he blocked it out from stress and fear.
Yeah.
But why nobody's checking this goddamn car is beyond me.
Yeah. I don't want to say that.
I mean, identify the car, identify the perp. That's it.
Right. That it could have been crime of opportunity. Somebody just passing through and she was on her own.
I don't think so. Why would she just walk up to them and be like, hey, Raymond, let's go for a ride with this strange man that we don't know.
Right, but that's if that happened.
Right.
If none of that happened, if all of Raymond's story was bullshit and he never saw her, we once again don't know
Okay, but some of the stuff that he said, it didn't exactly match up.
Right.
But
which is why I said some of it could be true. A lot of it wasn't.
Right.
And provably wasn't.
Right. So he had to know. He had to know something. Did he?
Did he luck into the fact that a bus driver also saw a car and he just happened to say we got in a car and that gave his story more credibility?
That seems a little too coincidental though, because he could have said, "Yeah, she walked off."
Yeah.
Could have been anything.
Right.
A guy walked up to her on the street.
Yeah.
Guy came out of a building. She went into a building to make a phone call and then disappeared. I literally could have been anything. But to say we got into a car, she got into a car, came up, she started talking to this guy.
Yeah. So it's...
Seems a little too coincidental with the bus driver's story that she also got into a car.
Right. And it goes back to that show we recommended on Paramount Plus, Interrogation, where I was so suspect that so many coincidences would have to take place for the originally accused person's story to be true. Like, there's so many
Just seems
coincidences that have
ridiculous,
to,
but-
like, there's no way.
But
But
it
that turned out to be true.
Turned out. Yeah.
So, there's nothing to say that this person who clearly has mental issues wasn't off on his own timeline.
True.
All of what he said could have been true.
It was just
except he was wrong about the time because, like we said, it's winter. It gets dark early.
Right.
So he's like, well, it was dark. I must have got home at 10. He could have got home at 7 a.m. and it would still be dark.
Right.
So we may never know. Hopefully
bucket.
we will someday.
The bucket.
Yeah. But I get to drive through Pawtucket on my way home today.
Pawtucket.
Yay.
I was in a commercial with the Paw Sox, believe it or not, when I was in
I believe it.
4th grade, which is the same year as I almost got kidnapped.
Yeah.
Because
By Paws? Paws, the Pawtucket Red Sox mascot?
Yeah, no, I wasn't kidnapped by him, but because the school that I was going to, Flynn, you had those things where you had to like sell cookies or do whatever, right? And of course, like whoever sold the most, like you win prizes and blah, blah, blah. So the 2 top sellers in the school, they picked one boy and one girl. Whoever sold the most got to be in this commercial. In fact, it was for multiple sclerosis, and it was like, and the Paw Sox were involved in it. And I actually had a cousin, Freddie, my mom's cousin, who had multiple sclerosis. So we were sort of like on a mission to sell the most. And my mother and my father at the time and my grandmother all worked at that same factory. And so they basically just went around this whole entire factory and got people to like buy shit. Like when all those cookies and everything came in,
Oh, God.
our whole basement was set up with this like huge table, and we literally were like, I remember going down there and the whole basement was just full of like orders. It was crazy. But anyway, so me, and I don't remember who the kid was, but
Let's call him Raymond.
let's not, but we were both in this commercial, and I wish I could find it. Like there's been times where I've tried to like search the internet to like old like whatever. I'm gonna try to search for it again later, because if I could find that, I think it would be so funny to like post it up. But
Unfortunately, the Paw Sox moved, because you could have contacted them.
I know. I doubt. I don't know if I think I might have at some point like tried to contact them to see if they still had like a copy of it.
Yeah.
And now that you're saying that, I want to say that they said it would almost be like impossible since they moved and everything to like try. So I am gonna go on the internet though and try to track it down.
They're the Worcester Sox now, which is so stupid.
Yeah. Worcester. Well, everything from Worcester is stupid. Yeah. You know who you are. You particularly know who you are, you son of a bitch. Well, Mike.
Yeah, stay out of Western Massachusetts, everybody.
Stay out of the bucket if you can help it. I mean, no, Pawtucket's fine, whatever. I had family who just moved from Pawtucket.
Yeah, it's,
It's quite timely, too, because there did seem to be a little uptick of, like, crimes in that area, so I was kind of glad that they got the frig out of there, but...
It is right on the Massachusetts border, so you know how those massholes can be.
I do know. I'm sitting here with one right now.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Well, until next week, follow us.
Please, if you would.
On the socials, at MAF Podcast Show, Instagram and Twitter.
That is correct.
We have our YouTube channel. Murder Amongst Friends podcast. And
hopefully
yes, hopefully
if we can stay out of the bathroom long enough, the loo, if you will,
the porcelain palace,
the lavatory, or the lav. Hey, when you were in school and you had to ask to go to the bathroom, did you have to raise your hand and say, we used to have to say, may I please go to the lav? We had to say, and we were instructed that we had to use the word lav or lavatory to say, like, we couldn't say, like, bathroom or can I go to the toilet?
Can I go to the shit house?
Yeah. Can I go to the shit? Hey, Sister Laura, can I go to the shitter? No?
The
okay.
John?
Hey, can I go to the John? No? Can you hang me in the closet?
I guess.
By my sweater? Because we all know that happened. Yeah. Not to me, but to Sean Brown. Sorry, Sean, if you're out there.
Hell of a story that was, though.
100% true. Lots of stories from Catholic school. So,
you can also email us or email Joanne. mafpodcastshow@gmail.com.
I actually like getting emails, so sucks.
Yeah,
to
I
suck.
check it.
Sucks to be you.
I check it and then I have to tell her about it. So if you want to get in contact with her, just know that it goes through me first.
So don't say anything. Don't say anything saucy.
Button it up, everybody.
Although say something saucy, because we all know I
then
am
I need to
single.
read it to
Then
you.
Michael can read it and get super uncomfortable, and then have to pass it along. Hey, and he lives far away, so I will make him read it to me word for word. So if anybody wants to send a saucy email, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm not. So until next time, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Stay out of the fuck it. Bye.